Hello, and welcome back to Supreme Verdicts. Today, your attorney is going to be playing Magic the Gathering. Specifically, I'm going to be playing Koth in Brawl on Arena. Koth is a personal favorite of mine. It's mono red planeswalker, which is not usually my archetype, but it has one of the best pluses I've ever personally had on a planeswalker, which is +2, search for a basic land. There's a Liliana that does a similar thing with mountains, but Koth is a favorite just in that the -3 is a little bit of damage control, a little bit of a control element, and the -7 is our win con. The -3 says that Koth deals damage to target creature equal to the number of mountains you control, which is going to be a lot based on the +2. And the -7 says that you get an emblem with whenever you play a mountain, whenever a mountain you control enters, this emblem deals 4 damage to any target. That means it can be used to pick off creatures, it can go face, and with certain damage doublers and triplers that we have in the deck, such as Soulfim, Repercussion lets us kill creatures and hit them, as well as there's definitely one or two others somewhere in here. We are able to very quickly close out games and demolish our opponents. This deck is in fact very much themed around Koth. Koth is a necessary part of the game plan. He is not only our ramp, quote unquote, making sure that we have card advantage by getting mountains into our hands and allowing us to play our land drops, but he also then allows us to ultimately win the game with that -7. As such, the deck is based around him, where we have multiple, as you can see here, 2-mana rocks. The ideal curve being to hold up removal on turn 1 to kill their elf, to play a 2-mana rock, and then on turn 3 cast Koth and start drawing those sweet, sweet lands. From there, the rest of the game is, as I mentioned, various control elements. We're trying to keep creatures off the board and just kill everything in sight so that Koth doesn't get attacked down too horribly. Play a few value creatures that just get stronger, that stay strong throughout the game in order to make sure that we're able to keep up with the value, just train that Brawl often leads. And ultimately, as we have so many lands, we can cast some absolutely ridiculous spells with mana sinks that can fully close out the game on their own, such as one of my all-time favorites, Crackle with Power. A couple other just notable cards in this deck. We have Volt Charge. There's not a ton of Proliferate in Mono Red, unfortunately, but Volt Charge is one of those cards, so is Staff of Completion and Karn's Bastion, that can just get us to one turn earlier to -7 Koth. Otherwise, we have a couple other X spells that just close out the game on their own. We assemble a ton of lands and just overwhelm with value. And of course, being a mono red deck, we do play Blood Moon and we have Winter Moon, since most of our lands are going to be basics, with the exception of just some overly powerful ones. Karn's Bastion, which plays into our Proliferate plan. Gate to Tumbledown, which is in fact a mountain, but allows us to get some card advantage. Dwarven Mine, a mountain and a blocker for Koth, oftentimes. And Nykthos is just so powerful with some of these value planeswalkers that we're going to be playing as well. Kai's Kindling also does a lot of work, as you might get to see in the video. Now, there's a couple of ways to play Koth. One is to protect him at all costs and just kill every creature in sight. This plays out a longer game, which you're not always aimed to win. The other way is to ignore whatever your opponent does and just try to ultimate as fast as possible. I prefer that method, but it's not always ideal. This is a tough commander to face, but it is a 4 We have multiple ways to deal 4 damage and card advantage in hand, so I think we'll keep this hand and try it out. Arna Kennerud is difficult. Not only is Ward discard a card attached here, but as a lifelinker that can double up equipments and other things, this card can do a lot of work. Now, Evolved Sleeper is fun. Had a moment in Standard for a little bit. Haven't seen it in a while, though. I am going to pass to attacks. Pass the blocks. Let's see if they use their mana. They don't. Oh my god, that is loud. We're going to kill it just because there's nothing better to do. Really quickly. Excuse me. Alright. They're holding up... What is this? Counter magic, maybe? Well, we drew our turn 2 ramp. Perfect. Oftentimes I'll mulligan looking for that turn 2 ramp. It just helps get Koth out a bit earlier, and there was no stick there, which is great. But with so much removal in hand, I feel it's important to just not let them get an inch. Fiend, now that's a good card. You know what I don't think is in here? Lithomantic Barrage. That's a card that can do a lot of work. Wow. Now that's a lot of fun. I'd love to get Koth down here, because we do need a mountain at some point. However, this is card advantage for them, and it gives them a modified creature to double counters, which it kind of looks as if they might be a 1/1 counter deck. I think here it is just going to be best to kill Rafine. As I mentioned, oftentimes in this deck, you're playing a balance between wanting to get Koth out as quickly as possible and keeping their board clear. That's a strong card. So is the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. That's honestly what I'm more worried about. Wow, that was pretty good. Can they get this? 1, 2, 3, 4. They would have to get one more land. I think that's worth it. Let's just throw down Chandra, as well as plus her in order to kill Thalia. This is going to give us some mana advantages.
This is gonna hurt.
Keep their board clear, as I keep mentioning. Oh, and win us the game. This is a control deck. We are going to be playing out our Planeswalkers and plussing them whenever possible. The Hive always poses a problem. If from my last video you saw, it can give you quite a beating if you leave it unmatched. But here we did well. Often with Planeswalker decks, you're going to want to be playing a little bit more of a control game. After all, the #1 killer of Planeswalkers is generally creatures, unless your opponent's playing black, which has a lot of Planeswalker removal naturally built into it. That's why we have so much targeted creature removal. Being in red, and as a mono red deck, the matchmaker will often pair us against other red decks, which is kind of a bane in the sense that targeted removal can sometimes burn Koth out, but he's got high Planeswalker, or high loyalty points. This is an interesting one. I guess we keep because of the Iron Crag. Hope to draw land. It's a good hand. Yeah, let's do it. Let's try. A little bit risky. Oh. Well, as I said, we'll go for it. Generally want to play controlling. It's one of the best ways to protect your Planeswalkers and keep them going. There are some Planeswalkers that play differently, but it's not every day that you see those. Alright, seems fairly typical Urabrask deck. They're casting instants and sorceries. They're hoping to storm off a bit. Blood Moon is an unfortunate card to get right here. That's actually really rough. But it's okay. We'll play the Iron Crag. That way, if we top deck our land, we can cast Koth, which is exactly what this deck wants to be doing. We play a very high land count because it's so important to get to that 4th land. But let's see what the opponent does and how we might have to deal with it. Spiteful Banditry, if we can get a few more lands, will do a lot of work, as will Brotherhood's End. I'm hopeful. We'll see what other value creatures they might want to throw in. I wouldn't mind a discard spell, or something that we can, yeah, exactly, discard and draw a couple. That's going to hurt, but it's not terrible. Koth can both kill it, Koth can race it. I'm not particularly worried. Alright, that was a good hand. Or a good draw, I mean. I think in that case, we are going to Koth, and I think there's a stick. So they've got a removal spell right here. I, in that case, would rather to get another Mountain. Yes, Koth, you are ready to fight. Look, they're going to Lightning Bolt Koth. Not quite. They've got something. They'll bring Koth down to 3. And we'll just keep plussing him back up. There we go. Activate this only if they've cast 3 or more instants and sorceries. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's not quite enough, so we'll have to use Fanged Flames to kill Urabrask. There it is. The Strangle. They had an instant in hand for 1 mana. So that's 1, 2.
That's enough.
They have 1 mana. They have to use it now. Okay. We know they still have a sorcery, so they will in fact be able to change this. That is brutal. If they get to the Great Work, it's unfortunate. We won't actually be able to stop that. We'll hopefully be able to pressure them in other ways, such as using Brotherhood's End in order to remove all the treasures that they gain. Alright, opponent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's no problem. Alright, so next turn they'll be making the treasure tokens. They'll be able to use it that turn. Just curious. Let's go ahead, play out our land. I'm fairly certain about that idea. I don't think there's any harm in casting a ruby medallion. Especially, well, Brotherhood's End if we're going on treasures won't be great. But something tells me they're going to use all their treasures before then. This comes back afterwards. Yeah. We don't have an instant speed way to kill it. So for now, let's just get rid of some of the damaging spells. And move on. We'll see how much they can do. They've made 3 treasures. Next turn they're going to have a bunch of instants and sorceries. Nice. I'm glad we still have a good removal spell in hand. Because this is going to be important. Let's try this one out. Great. Now, they're going to have access to all their instants and sorceries. We're going to want to... Actually, in hindsight, I should have held that and done the Brotherhood's End here. But that's alright. If we were to cast this, we won't be able to afterwards give it indestructible. So I think for now we're just going to hold. Let's make a couple of treasures. And pass. Opponent's going to get to do some damage to us. Oh wow. This is a bit rough. We didn't have that instant speed interaction anyway, so we'd be in a hard spot regardless. I'm sorry, does this give all of theirs? If a spell, you may cast instant spells from any graveyard. Oh wow. Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered. They would have been able to demolish us regardless. In fact, I'm happy we didn't give them the Brotherhood's End. They could have cracked their treasures and just fully set us back. If we can survive this turn, they only have 2 cards left in hand, but we know they'll be able to flip Urabrask again. This might become a bit of a race, especially as they're casting their various card draw effects. Hey, but maybe opponent messes up. They're having a lot of decision fatigue currently, and clicking through bit by bit. Certainly doesn't lend itself to playing out a good game. Tormenting Voice, drawing cards, dealing damage. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana? I think they have lethal. Yeah, they can cast Light Up the Stage. There we go. See what they hit on top. They have Frostbite, which is to creatures, but they can always, there we go, play with fire to face. And they're finding it. Good game, opponent. Alright, what could we have done better that game? Urabrask is a fast one. They had a Dragon's Rage Channeler right on the side. I guess I could have killed it to try to save a little bit of damage, but they still would have been able to make it there this turn. I guess mulliganing in order to get instant speed removal for Urabrask likely would have been important. Because that's a priority to just take it off the field before they can cantrip their way out. Alright, good game, Urabrask. 1-1. I'll have to mulligan a little bit more aggressively. It's been a long weekend. Gonna get my head in the game. As I've mentioned, I am actually an attorney. I finally finished one of my weekend assignments. Decided it would be a good idea to come and play some Brawl. Not only to relax, but get a little bit of that competitive itch out. Slimefoot and Squee, though, is a fun reanimator deck. This can go a few different directions. Especially if we can exile it. Now, again, really tough on the lands with some of these hands. It has been a bit unfortunate. Opponent's going first as well. We don't have the turn 2 ramp. We do have Kaela's Kindling. This is a great card. But we do have 2 ways of exiling Slimefoot and Squee. So I can't help but feel like we have to keep this hand. Now, if opponent's able to just drop a big baddie into their graveyard and then reanimate it the next turn, we're going to be in trouble. But we were going to be in trouble no matter what in that situation. They did not have a turn 1 ramp play. I don't feel like we need to hold up Shove Aside. There we go. They'll get rid of Fang Flames or Obliterating Bolt, but they can't get rid of both. And now, hopefully they'll play around it a little bit too much. Wow, Kayla's Kindling. Okay, maybe opponent does not have as much as we thought they might. Or perhaps they have more discard. We'll find out quickly. Yeah, this card is a doozy. I don't blame them for getting rid of it. And there it is.
Enough with the mysteries. I've come for answers.
Alright, let's see what they discard.
We all have
I think
things we'd
we're gonna
rather
get rid of... Are we gonna get to Dust Bowl them this game? That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. I should probably just drop, like, Nykthos or Dust Bowl. I'm gonna drop Nykthos because I only have Koth to add to Devotion. That might seem crazy. We will... will we? I guess we would just Devoid next turn. Wow, even better. Target creature or Planeswalker. But this does not exile. These two do. So, bye-bye Liliana. You're a good card. And opponent knows what's in our hand, but we gotta hold them back. Guess they were hoping they would just start discarding everything. Nice, they make a clue. They don't have a way to do it, and let's just get rid of it. Keep the board clear. Keep Koth alive. We could have -3'd onto the Koth, but that Cindercone Smite was just going to get worse over time, especially against a Tireless Tracker, which can grow bigger. Dealing 3 damage to it matters a lot less if it's a 4/4, or a 5/4, excuse me. Very nice, they make their Saproling token, and they can sacrifice it at instant speed, notably. So what could be kind of cheeky is to indeed sacrifice a land to destroy their Phyrexian Tower and make them sacrifice Slimefoot and Squee. Oh. It's not worth it. It absolutely isn't, but it is a fun plan later on. God, I want to just plus to the moon. I want to plus to the moon so badly. They do have to sacrifice a Saproling to return it. So you know what? Let's race the opponent a little bit.
Mirrodin is our land.
Let's see how this goes. As I said, one of the ways to play this deck is to fully just go as fast as possible. Opponent's going to have a hard decision.
Just want to burn it all down. Me too.
Make 2 mana. Sacrifice your clue. Draw a card. It's good value. Still gotta get Slimefoot and Squee into the graveyard, but they can do it again next turn after they attack. They will be able to either stop Koth from ultimating or put Chandra down a bit. They'll likely stop Koth from ultimating, but that's okay. We're keeping them distracted. The Dust Bowl is likely going to be destroying a Phyrexian Tower, though. It's too good of a card. It gives them an instant speed sacrifice outlet. It gives them mana ramp. Here we go. They'll likely keep it up again just in case.
Try again.
But we really don't mind. Oh. And here they are putting it into the graveyard. Do they have a way to discard a card right now? It looks like it. Or they're just going for the value play. Awesome. They're building a board. Opponent is doing their best. And let's do our best to pick it off. Card types among graveyards, +1. That is, it's gonna be a toughie. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 mountains. I can play one more, -3 to kill Tarmogoyf. We can then Obliterating Bolt, and plus, we can take apart the board. I do want to get rid of that Phyrexian Tower really badly, but it might have to wait for just a moment.
Here comes
kill
the
that
avalanche.
first.
Let's set the world ablaze.
Do we let them keep the Saproling? Probably. I do think here, though, let's get rid of the Dwarven Mine, that's fine. Now, they can recast their Slimefoot and Squee, and they're at 4 mana, getting to 5. which is starting to get into the big baddie range. Alright, not bad. But can't do much here. Ironically, we'd almost rather recast Koth next turn than just start plussing him. No problem. No problem, opponent. You take your time to think. You're playing a complicated deck. There's a lot going on. Tardigrife's a fun inclusion. Especially when they reanimate it in a moment. Yeah, here they go. Search your graveyard and library. I've never gotten to Ultimate Chandra Heart of Fire. That could be a lot of fun, though. Oh, and a Crater Hoof. Okay. That's some powerful stuff. Some powerful stuff. Let's just keep plussing Chandra. Let's continue. Do I want more fodder in their graveyard? No. But I do want to just keep destroying things. Let's get ourselves another mountain. We're going to play this. Wow, I really want to Dust Bowl and just kill something else again. Just start picking off their lands. Really, really badly. What? 1, 2, 3 green. 1, 2, 3 black. 1, 2, 3 red. Crater Hoof is green though. But black reanimates. I think 1, 2, 3 and sacrifice. This is a bad idea. I should play Fable. Let's hold up both of our removal spells. Yeah, just in case. We know this can kill their Slime, Foot, and Squee, and they're still hitting their land drops. So it's not mattering too much currently. They'll make themselves a Saproling. Interesting. Curious. We're going to discard these two. Look at that, card advantage, because we still have a mountain whenever we need it. Wow. Alright, we have a few options here. I think... let's exile this again. I like that the opponent knows that's what needs to happen to a degree. I think we're going to then kill the Saproling.
This fight could use a little heat.
I kind of want to just kill Koth. Is that crazy? A little bit. We're playing control. They are playing a Reanimator deck, and that could be dangerous, but we're about to ultimate a Chandra.
Mirrodin, lend me your flame!
And not only are we ultimating a Chandra, but we can just start picking off their lands as much as we'd like. In fact... oh, actually, better yet. We can recast Koth. As much as I love land destruction, this is just too good. Look at that. We'll be able to ultimate Koth at a couple of turns. They have multiple planeswalkers to ultimate. They're ultimating that they have to contend with. What does this do again? I have never gotten this close. Search your library for any number of red instant and or sorcery cards. Exile them, then shuffle. You may cast them this turn. Add 6 red. 6, 7. 7 plus 6. Sorry, 6, 7, 8. If we were to kill... can we kill them this turn? Red, red, red. Sorry, so we have 6, 7, 8. 8 plus 6 is going to be, this is embarrassing, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a mathematician, is going to be 14, 15 plus the treasure. Red, red, red is going to be 12. 12 mana left over, so that's 4, and so 4 times 12, oh, that is just 1 off. That is really rough. Do they block with the Scavenging Ooze? Absolutely, they block with the Scavenging Ooze, don't they? Let's bluff. They're gonna gain a life too. Nice, they don't go for it.
Is for the fallen.
Don't block, don't block. Okay, they block. We don't have lethal currently. In that case, I do think it's still worth doing though, because I don't know how much better it's going to get than this. Then again, they have no cards in hand? Oh, they have no cards in hand. Let's just...
Have you seen my hair?
Let's just overwhelm them
What
with
a
value.
glow up.
That would have been a lot of fun. We would be 1 off lethal. The idea
The
being
only thing to fear
we can
is-
use Chandra.
well,
Yeah, I had fun in the match. But let's go back. With Chandra, we can search our graveyard and or library for any number of red, instant, and or sorcery cards. For example, Crackle with... Nope. What's it called? I'll show you the card in a moment. Exile them, shuffle, you may cast in this turn, add 6 mana. We have currently 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 5 would have been 9 plus 6, which would have been 15 mana. Maybe I did my math wrong. 15 mana. At which point then we can tutor into our library for the card I specifically pointed out at the beginning of the game, whose name escapes me. Yeah, Crackle with Power. With 15 mana, oh, it's 2/2. That would have been down to 13. 13 divided into 3 is still going to be 4. 4 times 5 is 20 damage to each of up to 2 targets. They were at 21 life. A few misplays with my math there, but it still wouldn't have been enough. Luckily, we overwhelmed them with value. Alright, we had a very cool game. Could have ultimated Chandra, but chose to play it safe and beat the opponent the right way. Nice and easy. This is a tough matchup. Mythweaver Pock requires a lot of removal as well as a fast deck for us. Now we go first, and Frostbite gets rid of their elf. Staff of Completion also gets us Koth to ultimate a turn early, but without 2 mana ramp, we don't get Koth a turn early. Again, I need a mulligan for... I keep saying I need a mulligan for ramp. I'm not hitting ramp. I guess we'll mulligan for power. We'll keep Strangle. It kills their ramp card, but we are not keeping a good hand here. It's dangerous to go down even more, though. Yeah, there they go. That's all right. Kill. Mephit's Enthusiasm, they might still get them if they play Mythweaver on turn 4. For example, next turn, another bad draw with Wintermoon. This would allow them to play it next turn, but they might also just continue to ramp, and we can't allow that for the moment. Do they have another ramp piece? Yeah, of course they do. Alright, so next turn they can play Mythweaver Pock and then cast their commander, which is pretty good. We, however, are not doing well. Wintermoon is mediocre. I'm just playing it out. Maybe they'll destroy it. Because Goldhound is actually a treasure that we can use to cast our commander, which is particularly helpful. Oh my god, Blood Moon and Wintermoon. I think this is game. In fact, I'm almost certain it is. We drew 2 cards that are completely unplayable in this matchup. We have no removal for their commander, and it can one-shot ours. I think this is just not going to be it. Let's see if they have something or anything here. Yeah, we can't even get blockers necessarily. Coming up, they're going to get another attacker.
What a strange and magnificent world.
Opponent had a pretty cracked hand of ramp, ramp, ramp,
Behold,
and
nature's
power.
true
Look at this.
power.
They'll be even draw cards next. We could not get our ramp piece. We had to mulligan down a card. I don't think this is going to turn out well for us.
Another loss.
Let's see what our draw is. I believe in a good top deck. Dear God, that could be an extra turn, a tutor, even just a lightning helix would be bad here. Nice, and we can play a blocker. Good game, opponent. That was unfortunate, but hey, gotta love the RNG sometimes. Now, I highly recommend, as you're playing Brawl, to kind of see what queue you go up against. Mythweaver Pock is a commander I'm often paired off with. It's one of the reasons why I have so many early removal spells, and removal spells that grow along with Koth, because you have to just get an edge on Mythweaver Pock, as his power and toughness doubles and grows as time goes on. But if we continuously or only face Mythweaver Pock or mono red decks or mono green decks, Blood Moon and Wintermoon are probably good to take out at that point. They just aren't as helpful. Now, here is a mono green deck. It's a very good mono green deck, but you know, it is not Mythweaver Pocket at least, and we thankfully don't have Blood Moon or Winter Moon in hand. We do actually have a pretty decent deck. This is only for creature removal, which is unfortunate because Nissa is not a creature, but we have turn 1 ramp in Strike It Rich, and turn 2 ramp in Ornithopter of Paradise, and turn 4 ramp in Chandra Torch of Defiance. That's not bad, and I think it's worth keeping. Lightning Axe is the worst removal spell we could have here. Oh, nice. Because it requires discarding a card as opposed to paying the 5 mana most times, and our hand is very much toss out our hand, get Koth on the battlefield, and get card advantage through our Planeswalkers. What did I say? What did I tell you? Go away. You're not invited here. I don't want you here. Opponent playing Rampant Growth, cheating ramp spell, and here we are with our very fair Ornithopter of Paradise. The audacity. Thankfully, with our 2 top lands in the entire deck, we'll still be able to cast Koth on turn 4, unless they can somehow remove either of these, which I guess they have artifact removal. That is a very scary card, but we have a couple of turns. Opponent, you want to fetch? I guess not. That's a great card. I'm almost tempted to just play it. However, yeah, it's best to play Koth just so we can keep hitting our lands. Dwarven Mine will enter untapped next turn. I'm tempted to do Urbrass Forge and save it, but I think with Koth we'll be able to keep a pace of the Overlord and be able to deal it damage. Now these do not have, thankfully, whatchamacallit, hexproof, but they will have haste. Koth is going to take a bit of a beating, but we'll be able to engage in some land destruction, which will be fun in its own way. Okay, opponent, what are you fetching? You're just getting the one that gives you a food, right? Or the gate? Nope, not even. Just a basic forest for an instant in hand. Interesting. Our opponent may have come with some interesting cards. Let's see.
In this land, we are all connected.
Yeah, that's fine.
Be wary of the ground.
Attack Koth. Great. I love it when they do that, because Koth we almost just want to use to get continuous cards. And with a +2, it's fairly good. That's a good card too. It's fairly decent at outpacing other cards. The biggest issue is that Nissa ramps. Nissa ramps hard. This deals damage to creatures, but not to Planeswalkers. Do we have nothing for Planeswalkers? Alright, in that case I think Forge is going to be quite important here. We'll be able to play Forge. We'll be able to play Dwarven Mine first. It's a mountain that enters untapped, so we get a blocker if we need it. We can now cast Chandra, add 2 mana in order to get Urbrass Forge. We can chump block with this. They're going to have a scary turn. Opponent has something for instant speed.
I knew you needed
So
my
let's make some mana.
help. Yup, you're going
Because that's
down.
something we have to do at sorcery speed. Let's kill Koth. Send him to active command zone. I know. I miss him too. There it is. We knew there was something in their hand, but that's alright. Staff of Completion is great here, especially because with Urbrass Forge we'll be able to proliferate the other counters. Huh? See? There's a use.
Do not
But
assume I am
we
fragile.
can't allow this. They have so much mana already. This is not going great for us, but we'll see whether or not they can deal with the Chandra Torch of Defiance. And if not, between that and Urbrass Forge, we might be able to pressure them enough. In fact, there's a consideration to have attacked face there, just as every point may matter here. Let's see what the opponent does, though. We do have enough mana to recast Koth next turn. I don't know if that's worth it. I'm not sure this is going to be a game we win with his ultimate. Staff of Completion might just be best to proliferate the counters. Oh dear lord. Yeah, that's the issue with doubling your mana. Okay, first strike, they have protection from red.
Harness the elements.
Is that just game? As double strike? No, first strike. Okay. Protection from red
It's
though,
over when I say it's over.
so they can just indefinitely block. This says trample. I think that interacts with it fine, but this is not a basic land. Oh man. I don't even know what to do here. I'm doing this purely because I don't see other options. We don't currently have a great way to... I can't even kill this as protection from Lightning Axe. Do I want to draw a card? I guess next turn I'm taking 6, 9. Okay. I don't think we can race them. But I think it's going to be best to draw a card, see what we hit. It's nothing on this turn, yeah. Opponent's being a little loud. Yeah, that checks out. They'll be able to deal us for 9. We can't get Urbra's Forge high enough to actually contend with this. We did slow down their mana, but with the Necroma's Memorial out, it just does not help much here. Kayla's Kindling can't destroy any of this. Our emblem won't matter. I think that this is just lethal. I'm gonna really quickly just check the deck list. Do we have a non-red way? We have Destruction of Artifacts, but it would require drawing that specific card. And even then, afterwards, we'd have to then deal with their board state. I think that draw from Staff Completion was our last real chance. Oh, and then with the Heroic Intervention and it taps for 2, that's certainly lethal. Good game, opponent. Oof, these mono green decks. Alright, tough day in the queue. Been facing some mono green decks, and we've drawn Blood Moon every time we face a mono green deck. It wasn't completely useless in the last game, but it wasn't good either. Now, Kaikar is actually a really fun commander. I have a Kaikar deck personally. I'm a huge fan of it. Opponent could be playing all sorts of things. We do have 1 mana Killbird Wizard. And we do have ramp. An opponent's going to be holding up counter spells and removal, but we'll play through that in some capacity. And let's see how it goes. Probably not well, but no, it should be fun. Kaikar is often built as a control deck. It makes creatures that fly, but also provide mana, allowing them to hold up mana pretty much every turn, which can be backbreaking in a lot of ways. We're going to lead with Arcane Signet specifically because we thought opponent might have a counter spell there. And this makes sure that if they counter it, we still have Ruby Medallion, which has a little bit more mana payoff in our deck. And another Surveil. Opponent's trying to hit their land drops. An important thing in a Kaikar deck. My personal Kaikar deck is focused on the token making ability. It relies on white cards for card draw, such as Enduring Innocence and Caretaker's Talent. It relies on red cards, such as Impact Tremors, and the little goblin creature that like pings whenever things enter in order to deal damage over time to my opponents. Okay, they're holding up something again. Now, do we let them 1, 2, 3, 4? Next turn we wouldn't be able to cast Chandra, but this is virtual card advantage. Next turn 1, 2, 3, they'll be able to cast their commander. So you know what? Let's cast a Ruby Medallion. They can counter it if they'd like. We still have mana. And we're going to bluff them into thinking that we have removal for their commander, so that they don't afterwards play it. We'll make them skip a turn of playing their commander, hopefully. Otherwise, we can kill it. And I have no problem with that either. And there we go, opponent. Yeah, my Kaikar deck and then uses blue cards to just control the battlefield. Now with 5, had I known we would draw this, I kind of want to just start dropping things. Let's see if they have a counterspell. opponent. And if they can counter this, nice. Wash away. That would have been 1 mana to counter our commander. Ideally, next turn, the trick with playing against a control deck is to understand what the control deck wants to do. We held up mana to strike fear into them so they would be a turn off of counting their commander. They've now cast 2 spells that they wouldn't get. That's an interesting inclusion. It's fun though. 2 spells so that they wouldn't have gotten spirits off of. That's a really good card. That's a problem actually. Is it a problem? I guess Koth just kills it. Does this just kill it too? No. This can't be countered, which is fun. I was hoping they'd hold up counter magic. But that's okay. We can just double up spells, but why be inefficient? Do they have a pact negation? No, they don't. Play our land first.
I'm ready to fight.
Goodbye, Bonehood Dracosaur.
Here comes the avalanche.
Let's hold up some more removal. You want to play in such a way that it puts them in an awkward spot because they want to be holding up mana. And whoever spends the most mana generally wins in Magic. We got Koth down, which is good, and he's on 1 loyalty. So if they remove him with a red spell or bounce him with a blue spell, we don't mind too much. Adeline is scary. She makes a lot of creatures. We can hold off for now. So now the question is, they seem to have some kind of removal spell. Adeline will get scarier over time. What we can do is cast Chandra and just not worry about it though. And I kind of like that mentality. Let's first plus Koth. That's all we can do with him.
We have the high ground.
Alright. While we decide how we want to play this. I think opponent has counter magic. I could continue to just kill things. I like the idea of -3ing Chandra at a later point in time. And I don't mind if they want to counter this, I think. They have 2 cards in hand? Yeah, this will force them to cast their commander soon. Or if they have a card draw spell, they're going to want to use it earlier. There we go. Removing pressure. While they would likely win in the long game as a control deck, we don't mind this waiting game for now. Because we have a Planeswalker on the battlefield. And that's the really big difference. We are still accumulating value. Now their lands have accumulated some value for them, but we're doing our best. Hall of Storm Giants is something to watch out for. Costs 6 mana to animate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with a spirit. Base is pretty good. 2 mana, no creature. I can do 2 damage to myself, but I don't think that's particularly useful. Notably, it's an elemental, so Chandra doesn't deal damage to it. Okay, Magda's fun. Let's just... Oh, I can kick this. Huh. Well, that's a shame. That's not a huge deal. But I can do 4 damage with it, or I can just kill Magda. Let's just kill Magda. You know why? Because now we can... Oh, wow. God, the hits just keep coming, huh? Back to our command zone.
Mirrodin,
Let's play that land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Love a double Planeswalker moment. Get some mana.
This'll be
Opponent
easy.
concedes.
Ever see a volcano erupt in person? You're about
Let's
to.
start dealing some
Is that
pressure.
just me, or is it getting a little warm in here?
I like this Chandra a lot. She's a lot of fun. Just a massive amount of loyalty. She can deal a ton of damage if you need an exile permanence. She can board wipe in a minor way. She just keeps pecking little damage with this huge loyalty. Opponent likely... Never mind. Opponent has nothing. They have really cool sleeves though. Good game. Thank you so much for watching. I had a really great time with Koth in the queue. It is a deck I truly enjoy. There's nothing better than almost knowing I have a guaranteed land drop every single turn, ramping me up to my massive, horrific spells. It's fun having removal in the command zone, as well as a win con, which unfortunately we didn't get to see, but it can really pop off. Please like and subscribe and comment if you have a Koth deck, or if you have any decks you think would be fun to play. If you have a way to defeat those horrific green big stompy decks that can just outramp my Spiteful Banditries and all of my little X spells or deal 4 damage spells. As always, have a wonderful day, and if I had to give a supreme verdict to this deck, I'd say it's pretty damn fun. Koth is the fire resistance, and he resists losing as well as he can. Have a great day.